Today we will tell you about a boy who ate 150 vitamins for breakfast, and you will see what happened to his bones. These are not medical recommendations. This video is purely educational. The names of the characters have been changed. A 14-year-old kid, whom we will call TJ, was taken to a children's hospital with a broken arm, toothache, and general muscle weakness. The hospital staff didn't think his injuries were a priority, so he had to wait in a long line. Sitting in line, the young man lost consciousness and fell into a coma. None of the staff understood what had happened because this had never happened to him before. Last spring, TJ and his mother fell into a rough patch. Every day, upon returning from school, the boy saw his father consume large amounts of alcohol. Then one day, his dad went out to get food and never returned. His mother felt so alone and became depressed. So, she decided to radically change their whole life and move to America. Their family was not poor, but they did not know English very well. So there were a lot of things that they misunderstood. For example, they would easily get things confused at the supermarket. From early childhood, TJ was in love with chewy candy. While at the supermarket, his mother bought him a lot of chewable vitamins, which got mixed up with the sweets. Every day the boy ate about 40 for breakfast, not knowing that it was vitamins. This is already kind of strange because few parents will allow their child to consume sweets in such quantities. I think we can all agree that that is quite a lot. A few days later, the mother noticed that the boy had a swollen abdomen, but didn't pay much attention to it. The fact is that she and her son always joked that consuming American food can quickly make you fat, and she figured that it was from eating burgers and fast food. If the mother had paid attention to this problem right away, instead of writing it off as calorie intake from the food, many of these problems could have been avoided. One morning while sitting in front of the TV, TJ opened another bottle of vitamins. He was distracted by the interesting show on the TV that he didn't notice what he was doing. He ate exactly 150 vitamins. About an hour after this, the boy could not stop urinating. He was also sobbing because he had a terrible toothache, and he said it seemed to him as though he was being squeezed so tightly. The pain began to spread to his throat. When the mother tried to come down the stairs with her son, he slipped, fell, and broke his arm. The ambulance brought him to the emergency room in a state of shock. As we said at the beginning, the doctors thought that the boy had a normal fracture, but when he fell into the coma, the staff was frightened. The broken bone was only a warning sign to a deeper, more serious problem. Studying his medical history, it was difficult to immediately determine what exactly happened. There were suggestions that he had hydrops because his stomach was swollen due to the accumulated fluid. Then they came to the conclusion that the liver of TJ was damaged. A blood test confirmed this diagnosis, but it also turned out that the boy had hypercalcemia, an elevated concentration of calcium in the blood plasma. Interestingly, the vitamins that TJ had eaten contained 0 calcium. According to the mother, her son did not eat anything else after the vitamins. In the blood work, they found a huge concentration of vitamins from A to E, but there was absolutely no zinc or iodine. The fact is that both vitamin groups B and C dissolve in water and are excreted from the body while urinating. Vitamins A and D do not dissolve, therefore remain in the blood. They can accumulate in the body for a long time, but do not cause any discomfort. But if they get into the organs, it can lead to disastrous consequences. First, the muscles begin to ache, the work of the heart and brain are disrupted, and severe headaches arise. Vitamin A remaining in the liver will destroy its cells. In addition, when it reacts with vitamin D, it suppresses its properties. Think about this for a moment. They found as much vitamin A in TJ's body than that which is contained in 750 chicken eggs. Vitamin D contributes to calcium being absorbed and removed from the intestine, thus maintaining its level within the normal range. Despite the fact that TJ did not use any drugs containing calcium, an incredible amount of vitamin A accumulated in the body, which suppressed the work of vitamin D, and the intestine ceased to excrete calcium, which led to hypercalcemia. Excess calcium began to accumulate in the bones. Also, vitamin A provoked hydrops, against which the process of bone destruction began. The cells of the bone tissue become limp, and the calcium from them gets directly into the blood. This happened to TJ because he regularly took chewable vitamins in large amounts, many times exceeding the recommended dose. Therefore, it is logical that when he fell, even though it was small, led to a fracture of the hand. Over the last 100 years, bodily injury caused by high consumption of various kinds of nutrients are not a rare phenomenon. For example, milk with a high content of vitamin D was invented for the prevention of rickets in children, but it became a frequent cause of bone deformation at an early age. Despite the fact that vitamin D affects the absorption of calcium by the liver, its contents in products has not been standardized. This led to the fact that in 1956, the British Association of Pediatricians recorded 204 cases of hypercalcemia in infants caused by an increased vitamin D content in milk. This actively developing disease prevented the full growth of a child's body. Studies have shown that in Sweden and Norway, vitamin A is consumed on average 6 times more than in Northern Europe. Scientists found that taking vitamin A above the established rate, bone density is on average 10% lower. Consequently, these people are much more likely to get a fracture than those who do not abuse vitamins. In 1957, a researcher decided to stop in Canada on his way to Indonesia. So there were circumstances that his people were forced to eat polar bears. By the end of winter, they had a strange rash on their skin. All of them began to be terribly ill. Scientists have proved that the levels of vitamin A contained in the body of seals and polar bears is critically high for humans. But this discovery was not made until the middle of the 20th century. In Kenya, a skeleton of Homo erectus, an upright human, was found. The estimated age of this discovery is 1.5 million years old. On the bones were large cavities formed as a result of bone destruction. Scientists suggest that it was at this time that the diet of the primitive man changed and that the amount of meat increased. People did not understand what animals could be eaten and which ones will be harmful to them. Consequently, the prehistoric man, whose skeleton was found in Kenya, suffered from the same illness as TJ. Science does not stand still today. People are already fully able to understand what will benefit their body and what will do them harm. But as we see in this example of the boy, cases of intoxication with large doses of vitamins still happen. It is important to know that you can get chronic hypervitaminosis if you consume large amounts of useful foods. It should be remembered that vitamin A is found in vegetables and fruits rich in beta-carotene. You should also be careful with the use of prunes, liver, and fish oil. A lot of vitamin D is found in red caviar, egg yolks, and fatty fish. These products should not be taken too often. Doctors did everything they could. They corrected the bones and warned of the increased risk of new fractures. Hydrops was eliminated with diuretics. There is a possibility that the boy will have to live with chronic hypervitaminosis. In addition, the main organ for removing toxins from the body is his liver, which was damaged. That's the sad consequences of taking conventional chewable vitamins in huge quantities. The story of TJ is a good reminder to us of how important it is to observe the measure in everything that we do, and that any extremes can be a detriment. Before you buy or use anything, it's best to carefully study the instructions. This will help avoid many unnecessary problems.